Facebook, we're ready? Everything's up? Everybody's running? Everybody. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. I don't know, anything else. TikTok. I don't know what else is going on. I don't even know. All right, folks. Well, anyway, thanks for being here. I am Dr. Joe Esposito. And the way we do this is we do two 24-minute segments. I will talk for 24 minutes. You then will type in any health questions you might have. Allison, my producer behind the camera, will then read me any questions you have. I'll answer them, and then we'll do another 24-minute segment, and then we'll take another break as well. So that's how the game's played. So ready? Now we start the timer. Ready? When I clap. Hey, folks, Dr. Joe Esposito here. Thanks for being with me today. Now, if you listened to the show in the past, you know that I try to base the show on what's happening in our practices. We have 4 practices, and I kind of see trends occur with patients. And in the past couple of weeks, I've seen this huge trend on patients coming to me talking about their relatives, their friends, their spouses, and their brains just aren't working. And so I said, let me do a show on what you're doing throughout your life that makes your brain shrink and makes your brain not work. So it's really important you understand this because you're doing things all day, every day, most people, that are causing the brain to essentially short circuit and also to shrink. And so we see people with Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, dementia type things. We know that something's going on. We're not quite sure what. The jury's still out on exactly what's happening. But there is one consensus that all the experts agree upon. It didn't happen right then. It takes a long time for the brain to malfunction. And so the things you're doing now, today, are going to affect your brain in good or bad ways as time goes on. So we're going to talk about the food that shrinks your brain. And the bottom line, is fast food and junk food, which I know you're not surprised to hear that. But eating fast food, that's really the top of the line when it comes to junk food, can have lasting ramifications on your brain health. And this is from the Australian National University. And they suggest that you can be causing irreversible damage by the time you reach middle age just by eating fast food and not staying active, but mainly the fast food. So if you decide that you're going to eat fast food on a regular basis, by the time you're in your 40s and 50s, you may have already caused irreversible damage. Now, if you're middle age and you haven't been eating the best, don't panic yet. You can start making changes today that can help the brain heal. The brain has this amazing capability. It's called plasticity. And what that means is the brain can rewire itself around damaged areas. Now, if you damage the whole brain, like eating a lifetime junk food or fast food and processed foods, or what we call ultra-processed foods, that means that there's nowhere to rewire around. But if the damage is early, many times you can start to rewire it. So now this new study is pretty eye-opening, and it's hitting home, and again, driving home the fact that it's really important that what you do today is going to affect your health later on in life. And there's no reason why you should be doing all these things to hurt yourself. The only reason, and I've been saying this a lot now, the only reason that people eat bad food is one, and that's because it tastes good. And it does taste good. I haven't had junk food in a long time, but I remember it. Now, I'm sure it's gotten even better. I've been plant-based now for 35 years, so I'm sure it's gotten even better and more tasty. And the chips are more flavorful, and the burgers have more, savory flavors to them, because that's the field of food science. Food science wants you to eat more food. And there are scientists out there right now working behind their lab coat, in their lab coats, behind their desks, trying to figure out ways to make food more alluring to you. And so that's why once you start, it's really hard to stop. I have a friend of mine, and he wants to quit smoking. He really does. And every time I see him, it's all he talks about. Got to quit smoking. Got to get those patches. Got to get the chewing gum. Got to do this. Got to do this. Got to quit smoking. He's not doing a damn thing about it. Because once the brain kicks in and you start getting pleasure from these bad habits, the brain wants to keep getting high. And that's exactly what junk food is doing. It's getting you high. You know you're not supposed to be eating these things. It's not a secret. You're not sitting there going, well, I think I should eat more French fries. No, you know they're not good for you. But the brain is getting high from it, and the brain wants more. In the process, the brain is killing itself, and the brain actually starts to shrink and change its structure. So the good news is it's never too late. to make a change, no matter where you are, even if you're in the stages of dementia. It's never too late to do something positive. Now, fast food also increases the risk of something called type 2 diabetes, which I'm going to circle back around and discuss how type 2 diabetes affects the brain. A review of Science, in one featured study, they stated that people are now consuming 650 more calories a day than they were in the 1970s. Now, if you remember, back in the 70s, I do, there weren't a lot of fat people. Now, I used to be fat. When I was about 10 years old, I was pretty fat. So I can say the F word. But in the 70s, you had one or two people that you knew that was overweight. And now it's crazy. 50, 60% of the country in the United States are overweight. That's a lot. Big change in a few short years. But if we're eating an average of 650 more calories a day, and it takes 3,000 calories to either create a pound of weight or lose a pound of weight, if you stop eating 3,000 calories, you'll lose it. In a couple of days, you start to notice that that's putting on some weight. Now, not all of that is going to convert over to fat. Of course, you're going to digest it, pass it out. But it's real easy to gain weight when you're eating an extra 650 calories a day. That's about a third of all the calories you should eat in a day anyway. You should do about 2,000 calories a day. That's almost a third of that. And so just one burger, fries, and a drink is a third of everything you should eat all day. Not counting the lack of nutrients, not counting the fact that it's an acid, not counting the fact that it has chemicals in it that can lead to cancer, it has gluten in it that can irritate the bowels. We're just talking strictly calories, not even how bad everything is. So just on calories alone, that amount of calories consumed every day compared to 50 years ago means that a lot more people are overweight, but a lot more people are unhealthy. And I have patients come to me every day. In fact, the other day we had a bunch come in. I don't know how many I talked to, one after another throughout the day. And it was, I'm diabetic, I'm fat, I have erectile dysfunction, I have brain fog, I have fatigue, I have constipation. And I'm sitting there going, I think I got the answer for every one of these people. In fact, one of the patients came in. He said, Dr. Joe, I've listened to you on the radio before. I've listened to your podcast. I've read your books. He said, you seem to have an answer for just about everything. And I said, we do. Just about. Not everything, but just about. And if it's not the whole answer, at least it's something to move you in the right direction. And he said, I've been to all these doctors. I spent so much money. I feel like I'm just a cow you get herding it in, herd it out. He says, I really want somebody to sit down with me and discuss with me what I need to do to get well. And I told him, you're in the right place. Because I don't want to move you from doctor to doctor. I don't want to move you from test to test. I want to find out what's wrong and fix the cause, not just treat the symptoms. Now, sometimes you have to treat the symptoms. I understand that. But we always work on getting to the cause of our patients' healthcare problems. So if you have high fasting blood sugar, which means your blood sugar is high when you're not eating, that can affect so many different things, including the brain. Normal, high end of normal, elevated blood sugar in individuals, even with type 2 diabetes, contribute to something called a neurodegenerative process. And what that means is neuro means brain, degeneration means it's degenerating. So it's a neurodegenerative process just by having high blood sugar. And so many of us are either diabetic or pre-diabetic. And the doctor says, well, you should really take this medication because you're pre-diabetic. Your blood sugar it's a high end of normal. We're going to get you on some medication to bring down the blood sugar. And my question in that is, why don't we change the lifestyle that's causing the high blood sugar to bring it down? In fact, there was just a study I heard the other day that they were talking about sugar and fats, and some country, was it Australia? I can't remember. Anyway, we're charging a surcharge for bad foods. And they stopped doing it because the complaint was that if everybody started eating a healthy diet, it would adversely affect the economy because people would lose their jobs because they're not eating junk food. And I thought, well, what about the positive effect it would have on a healthcare system? How much money we'd save? So in overall, I'm sure it would be positive if people actually got healthy. And I understand, I don't want anybody losing their jobs. I get it. But I'd like to hire some people. We can't get people to show up for interviews sometimes. So I think there's a lot of jobs out there. Now, I understand you want to be in your field, and I get that. I'm not being insensitive. But if your job is to do things that are harmful to people, maybe we should consider a new job. People eating too much of the wrong kind of food, particularly fast food, is a big worry. As a society, we need to stop asking this question. Would you like fries with that? Because if we keep saying yes, Well, we're going to continue to suffer, and we're going to spend $3 trillion a year on healthcare, 25% of it, which is wasted on bureaucracy and fraud, and just go into the mill. It's almost like once you get into that mill, you just get churned and churned and churned, especially if you have insurance, because insurance says, I'll pay for this, this, and this, and okay, well, we'll do that test then. So I'm kind of down on the way the healthcare system is working because it's not working. People are getting sick. People are dying. We're not getting any better. Life expectancy is shortening. We're having younger and younger children have serious things like a fatty liver, high blood pressure, diabetes, type 2 diabetes. And that worries me because the direction we're going is not good as a society, but also as an individual. I don't want to be stuck in that trap where people, you just never get out, basically. When was the last time any doctor ever said to you, all right, Bob, we're going to do everything we can to get you off this medication? Never. Had a patient come in the other day, and he was about my age, overweight, looked a lot older than me, and he was on multiple medications, polymedicine, they call it now, polypharmacy, and he was taking multiple medications, and one of them was a medication for acid reflux. And I said, do you realize that this medication can slow down your absorption of calcium, B12, iron, and magnesium? He said, no. No one ever told me that. Okay. So that concerns me. Just hand out prescriptions and never talk about the side effects or what to do to counter the side effects. So we try to get to the cause of your problem. I am not saying you should stop taking medication. What I am saying is let's do everything we can to get you off the medication. Then you and your doctor, your medical doctor, can decide if you come off the medication or not. It's not my job. My job is to get you well so you don't need the medications. So elevated blood glucose levels in individuals without type 2 diabetes, so you're not quite at the type 2 diabetes yet, contribute to neurodegenerative processes along with people that are diabetic. And the main risk factors for type 2 diabetes, including obesity, lack of physical activity, poor diet, all of this affects the blood sugar. Normal blood sugar levels progress to impaired fasting glucose and eventually type 2 diabetes. So what happens is you have high blood sugar. The question is, why do we have high blood sugar? And high blood sugar is what we're talking about today in junk food, which is adversely affecting the brain. So you eat something, whatever it is, piece of bread. Your body releases something called insulin. Now, insulin is released, goes into the cells, goes into the blood, and then travels to the cells, and it acts like a key. It opens up the cells and says, hey, let sugar in, glucose specifically. Let glucose in because it needs to fuel you. And so the cell opens up, and the body uses the glucose, and it uses it as fuel. Well, if you eat a lot of sugar, you produce a lot of insulin. And then eventually the insulin keeps going to these cells and saying, open up, let the sugar in, open up, let the sugar in. And the cells say, wait a minute, if I keep letting this sugar in, it's going to gunk up the works, and I'm not going to work properly. So I'm going to tell that insulin, I'm not going to listen to you. I'm not going to open up and let the sugar in. I'm going to resist the insulin from doing its job. That's why it's called insulin resistance. Your body itself is resisting its own insulin, not allowing the cells to open up. And another hypothesis is that when you have high blood sugar, you have high insulin, which lets a lot of sugar into the cell, and the mitochondria, the part of the brain that creates energy, overworks, produces too much energy, and eventually it burns out. And you have mitochondrial damage, and then it can't produce the energy. And so then the DNA, the part of the cell that makes you who you are, isn't able to do its thing and unravel and replicate itself. And so that's another explanation as to why high blood sugar works. It works too well, and then the body shuts down. So the junk food is actually causing your brain to shrink. So what is junk food? There's different levels you can list food as. And one is just natural. Okay, if I pick an apple off the tree, it's not pesticide laden, it's not dipped in wax, that's a natural food. It's in its natural state, and that's good. And that's about everything. Then we have moderately processed. So let's say we have something like olive oil. We take the olives and we squeeze it, we get the olive oil out of it. It's processed. It's not a great food, but we can negotiate that one. If we look at something like soybean oil, canola oil, vegetable oils, these are high in omega-6 fatty acids. They're processed, but they have a lot of bad fat in them, super concentrated. So if I was going to eat corn has fiber in it, and the fiber is going to push everything through my colon, and I'm not going to absorb as much omega-6 fatty acids as I would if I did corn oil. And when corn oil gets into the body, it causes an systemic inflammatory reaction, and the brain actually swells along with every other part of the body, and that becomes an adverse effect. So it's not just the sugar in the junk food, it's the omega-6 fatty acids in the junk food causing an inflammatory reaction. And so now we're starting to think, wait a minute, I'm eating junk food, and it tastes good, and I feel full, and it's cheap. Well, Dr. Joe, what am I supposed to eat? I'm going to get to that. Hang on to that. The notion that type 2 diabetes is associated with neurodegeneration, cognitive impairment, that's you processing thoughts, dementia, and mortality, it's not a new thought. It's not like I just made this up and I'm telling you for the first time today. These associations are often thought to be most relevant in old age, despite the availability that evidence that people are having it in younger and younger ages now. Why? Because we have more and more junk food available. When I was a kid, I never heard the word high fructose corn syrup. Now, you can't not hear it. It's everywhere. Why do we use high fructose corn syrup? High fructose corn syrup is sweeter than sugar and cheaper than sugar. So why wouldn't I use it? Gosh, that's a great thing to add to my food. It's going to be sweeter, so you're going to like it and eat more of it. And it's cheaper for me, so I make more of a profit if I'm the manufacturer. There's no reason not to use it. Well, there is. Killing people with it, or certainly adversely affecting their health. But that's not what the manufacturer's job is. The manufacturer's job is to sell product. Your job is to learn what to do and what not to do. Just because something is on the shelf doesn't mean you have to do it. I understand it. I don't like the system the way it is. But you don't have to be part of the system. You have free will. You can say, I'm going to do this or not do this. You can make those decisions. And that's what this show and all the shows I have on my website and on my podcast service is all about. Giving you the opportunity to make decisions. Now, if you're excited about wanting to get well, I would like to invite you to come to one of our offices and meet with either me or my other doctors and determine what we can do to get you well and keep you well. Now, all my doctors are chiropractors. I'm board certified in chiropractic, orthopedics, pain management, double board certified in nutrition, BS in nutrition, retired dietitian, award-winning author. All of us want to get to the cause of your problem. All the doctors are handpicked by me, they're trained by me, and they're my personal doctors. So you're in good hands. You're seeing my doctor. My mother always used to say, go to your doctor's doctor because you know they're good. These are my doctors. Who would be a good candidate for patient for us? Any of you have pain? Raise your hands. I am really good. My team is really good at getting to the cause of pain. Chiropractic is the most effective, least expensive treatment for back pain. So why wouldn't you go to the place that's most effective, least expensive? You should. And so pain patients, neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, numbness, tingling, sciatica, muscle weakness, we're really good at that. Do you have nutritional concerns? Every one of you should say yes, because every one of you needs advice. I need coaching. I have coaches that I turn to every single day, and I'm really good at this stuff. So you need coaching. I want to be your coach. My team of doctors want to be your coach. So if you have nutrition issues, you have digestive issues, sometimes the digestive problem is just as simple as your stomach pushing up into your diaphragm. And my team of doctors can physically massage or pull the stomach away from the diaphragm, doesn't hurt, and get amazing results. I got an email the other day from one of my former patients. He's a monk, lives in a monastery. And he said, Dr. Joe, listen to your podcast, love you. You're still amazing. I really wish I was still in the Atlanta area so I could come see you. He says, but I've noticed I've been putting on weight. I've been very gassy and bloated. I feel terrible, brain fog. He says, and I heard you talk about staying away from breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, and pastas. He says, here in the monastery, we eat a lot of those. He says, so I gave them up, and in 2 weeks, I've lost about 15 pounds. I feel great. My stomach is flat. My brain fog is gone. And then he said something that was really interesting. He said, could it really be that easy? And then he said, Father, such and such. I won't say his name. So I said, Father, great to hear from you. I said, yes, it really is that easy. I said, I'm very proud of you. I said, keep up the good work. So once you make these changes, little changes, and you start to realize the huge effects they have on your body, you'll get it. And once you get it, you'll say, I want to do this forever. I don't want to go back to the way I used to feel. No one does. So if you'd like to make an appointment to come see us, we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, Stockbridge, and West Cobb. That's the Atlanta area. Go to our website, drjoe.com, drjoe.com. You can book an appointment to come see us. We'd love to see you. We accept people with all insurances. Now, it depends what your insurance covers. We accept you. It depends what they cover. We have cash plans available. We even have payment plans available out for 18 months in some cases, no interest. We want to do everything we can to help you get well and stay well. We use a company called Care Credit to do the payment plans. But we want to do everything we can to get you well. And I don't want you to be like so many of my patients that say, Dr. Joe, why didn't I do this sooner? Why did I wait so long? And why did I suffer for so long? And my answer is always, I don't know. I have no idea why you suffered. You have the answer now. So drjoe.com, book an appointment. And if you're ever in a car accident, folks, please, if the car is damaged, you're damaged. It never is anything else. In my 40 years of seeing patients, I've never seen it any other way. So if you're in an accident, please come see us right away because the insurance company will play games with you. Oh, you didn't go to the doctor. You weren't hurt. I couldn't go to the doctor. I didn't have a car because your person smacked me up or I smacked my own car up. Even if you caused the accident, don't let your health go to the wayside. Many of you right now have insurance on your car to pay your medical bills, even if you caused the accident and you don't even know it. So if you come in, we can check that for you. Anyway, drjoe.com. We'd love to get you in as a patient. So we're talking today about things you do that shrink your brain. And if you have too much high sugar in your body, you have the insulin resistance, and the sugar gets too high, that can cause damage to the brain, either by overloading the brain and burning out the mitochondria from too much sugar, or later on in type 2 diabetes, actually, then you don't get enough sugar. And when it affects the brain, it's called type 3 diabetes. I know it's a new word for you, type 3 diabetes. But the neurodegeneration, the actual physical change of your brain, is so obvious. And we know the direct cause, bad diet. And how many of you have ever dealt with somebody with Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, dementia, where they don't recognize their own children? They're living in la-la land. I've dealt with people like this. It breaks my heart. I've had people with dementia, their family brings them in to see us, and early on, they don't remember who we are. They'll say, and who are you? I'm Dr. Joe. Do I know you? Yeah, you've been here 5 times already as a patient. Oh, I don't remember that. And you think they're kidding. But when the brain starts to deteriorate, and you've got to remember something too, the brain controls everything. So the brain controls the heart, the lungs, the liver, the spleen, the kidneys, the gallbladder. Everything is controlled by the brain. So if the brain is not only losing its memory, it's losing its capability to cause the body to work properly. You're killing off the boss, and the boss can't tell the workers what to do. So please consider making minor changes in your diet. If you don't know what to eat, go to our website, drjoe.com, and just type the words in, so what can I eat? And listen to a show we did a long time ago, actually it was a lecture I did, on what to eat. And by the way, on our website, 3,000 hours of podcast, over that. Type in the search bar what you're looking for. Chances are we've done an article or a blog or a show on it. The cost for all that research that I've spent 40 years putting together, the cost to you, absolutely free. It's my gift to you because I want to get you well and keep you well. And that's my goal. So if you want to make an appointment, drjoe.com. You can search the website, spend as much time as you'd like. Send me questions through the website. Little bot pops up, says, hey, want to chat? Any questions you have, send them to me. I'm more than happy to answer them for you. But the most important thing you can do is make an appointment to come see us. There are certain supplements I recommend oftentimes. The minimum supplements I believe everybody should be taking are Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. People ask me just about every day, Dr. Joe, I'm not young, at your age, how are you able to do live events where you can just call people out of the audience and answer question after question after question and almost always have an answer? I said, I take care of my brain. And I have a traumatic brain injury. I was hit by a car when I was 10 years old. They thought I was going to die. And so, in fact, they thought I was dead, actually. So I have a severe traumatic brain injury. And so I have to take extra special care of my brain. And you know what? It works. So the minimum supplements I would recommend would be Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. They're 2 powders. I recommend the mint Super Greens. It's a little sweeter. A scoop of each, shake it up with some coconut milk, almond milk, whip it up with a frozen banana. That would be the minimum supplements that the brain needs. And if you don't have low blood pressure, if you have normal or high blood pressure, I would recommend Dr. Joe's nitric oxide support as well, which opens up the blood vessel and increases circulation to the brain. Folks, I got to go to a break. If you have any questions or you need to do some research, website again, drjoe.com. Follow us on social media at Dr. Joe Esposito. We'll be right back. That was a quick 24 minutes. Questions?
I have one. You kind of already answered it, but
Okay.
Someone was wondering where they can rewatch the entire podcast.
Where can they rewatch an entire podcast? on our website, drjoe.com, right? We have the videos there too, right? It's on the YouTube channel. Okay, so if you just go to our YouTube channel, you can watch any of our podcasts. If we videotape all of them, right? So all of them are there. So you can go to YouTube channel. If you want the audio, you just go to SoundCloud. If you listen to, what's it listed as? Presentations or lectures or shows? Media?
I think just video recordings, yeah,
Okay.
like the media.
Yeah. So if you go to the top, there's a tab up there, and you could go down to SoundCloud. We have them all in chronological order. YouTube has all the videos, and if you just search something, it'll come up with whatever comes up first. So, yeah, we have a lot of information for you. So, all right. Any other questions?
No, that's all.
Nobody loves us today. All right. Reset the clock for me. There we go. All right, ready for round two? Hey folks, Dr. Joe Esposito here. Thanks for being with us. If you're just joining us, welcome. If you're staying with us, thank you for staying with us. And we're talking today about lifestyle habits that you have that are shrinking your brain. And it's scary. I've been in practice a long time, 38 years now. I've missed a half a day of work in 38 years. I see so many patients, more and more actually, coming in with neurological issues, brain damage. I say brain damage, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, dementia, and it's sad. And it breaks my heart. And that's why we're doing this show now, because this show is a warning to you that all those people that we work with that have dementia and brain malfunctioning, all of them started this process a long time ago. This doesn't happen because you had an ice cream today. It didn't happen because you had pizza last night. It happened because you had pizza and ice cream and junk food and ultra-processed food at least minimum 3 times a week. We're seeing neurodegenerative changes if you just have fast food and junk food 3 times a week. So it's not like, well, Dr. Joe, I only have it at breakfast or I only have it at lunch. Had a patient last week, really nice fella, him and his wife, drove a long, long way to come meet with me. And they're going to go to our Stockbridge office, but they want to meet me. So they drove to our Marietta office, and I went over their nutrition with them and their x-rays. And he started negotiating with me. Well, Dr. Joe, I don't eat that bad. Okay. Well, I just have a breakfast biscuit in the morning, and it has some ham on it and some eggs and some cheese. And then I have a cup of coffee. And then for lunch, and he's going on. He said, I have oatmeal once a day. I said, okay. I said, Cedric, it's not a negotiation. We're not negotiating your health here. This is what you're doing that's not good for you. He's got high blood pressure. He's got diabetes. He's overweight, erectile dysfunction, and he's younger than me. And I said, we can negotiate all we want. You can do whatever you want to do. I can't make you do any of this. And then his wife said, honey, we're here because we want to get well. How about we do what the doctor says and see what happens? And I love that approach. Try what I'm telling you and see if it works. If it doesn't work, so what? It didn't work. But if it works, which of course it does, it always does, then you'll say, now I get it. And you'll backslide, you'll cheat here and there. When you do, you're going to feel awful. And patients tell me all the time, and I can vouch for this personally too, you don't know how bad you feel until you feel good. And when you start feeling good and sleeping right and going to the bathroom right and your brain works better and you're happy and your love life improves, and then you say, wow, I was really miserable. I had no idea how miserable I was until I started getting better. So that's where I want to get you in your life. I want you to get to the point where you're so good that you never want to go back. Sometimes that's hard. I have people come off, things like diet soda. Sometimes it takes them a couple of days. I had one patient, it took her a year. She was so hooked on this stuff. And I had to coach her, and eventually she came around, which is great. And she said to me too, this was probably 20, 30 years ago, and she said to me, you don't realize that you saved my life. And I said, well, I got you off your diet soda. She goes, no, I was so depressed. I considered suicide on multiple occasions. She goes, and then I come see you, and you'd get me back on track again, and I drift off again, and I come see you and get back on track again. And she said, no, I've always wanted to tell you, this is 20, 30 years later, that you saved my life. And I could never thank you enough for what you did. And all I did was tell her to stop taking the diet sodas. And so eventually I told her how you get off it. I gave her a lot of nutrients. But her brain was so far damaged from bad food, stress, not a happy thing. Some things went wrong in her life over the years. And so it was very unfortunate that we had to then turn it around for her. And we were able to. But my point is that these things can reverse. And that's the nice part about it. So ultra-processed foods lead to what's called insulin resistance. There's a Dr. Suzanne De La Monte of Brown University conducted research showing that systemic insulin resistance, which means throughout the whole body, linked to diabetes and obesity and type 2 diabetes promote neurodegeneration. She wrote in a journal, it's called Pan-Minerva Medica. Insulin-resistant diabetes, including Alzheimer's, obesity, type 2 diabetes, non-alcoholic fatty liver, and metabolic syndrome are prevalent in modern-day societies, and they are costly because they consume large percentages of the healthcare budget, lead to disability, and cause premature death. So much of the money that you're going to spend, what is it, 20% of the gross of your income is what it spends, or 30% on healthcare, is totally unnecessary. You don't have to spend it because you did it to yourself. You caused a lot of these health problems. And now you're going to the doctor and saying, fix me, doc. I'm a mess, fix me. I have it. It happens in my offices all the time. Fix me, doc. What have you done? Oh, I smoke and I drink and I eat bad foods and I don't take my supplements and I don't get chiropractic care and I stay up late and I have sinus problems and doc, you got to fix me. And I always say, I'll show you how to get fixed. And my team will give you some of the best chiropractic care in the world, in my opinion, but you're going to have to play a little bit too. And so then we get people on board. And most of the time, I'd say about 90, 95% of our patients do what we say. There's still about 10% that know better than me, but that's okay. Can't fix everybody. Famous man once said, forgive them for they know not what they do. A woman sent me an email 2 days ago, and she said, my husband is a mess, and he knew all these different diseases the husband has. And I want him to come see you, but a friend of his is a nurse, and she said, no, just stick with our treatment. And I said, first of all, shame on that nurse for casting dispersions on something she knows nothing about. And secondly, you don't have to go to one doctor or another. We can co-manage your case. We can work with your doctors to try to get the best results possible. So I said to her, I said, people do things to hurt themselves, and they refuse to admit it, and that's what your husband's doing. You have an answer for him. He just refuses to do it. I said, you can invite him in to come meet with me. I'm happy to meet with him, but if I can't, I can't force him to get well. And so many of you listening right now are in that same boat. You're stuck because you have someone you know would benefit from dietary changes, supplement changes, chiropractic care, getting their stomach fixed, and they're just not going to do it. And I don't understand why. I don't have an answer for you because people, if there was a way that if there was some place I can go or something I can do to make myself healthier, I would do it. I spent my whole life looking for more things I can do to get myself healthy. But I see it all the time with patients. They just get stuck. And then we have this medical crisis, and we're shutting down hospitals, and nurses are getting laid off, and people aren't able to access their doctors because the doctors are so busy, and the insurance company isn't covering these things. All of that, most of that, major majority of that is self-induced. You did it to yourself, and then you get stuck in the machine. Get out of that. You have control over that. Unrelenting appetite for highly processed foods, high starchy foods, high fat foods, high caloric foods, literally eroding the health status of all age groups across the country. Now, thanks to robust domestic and international research efforts over the past decade, it's now very clear that junk food is adversely affecting your diet, your health, your brain, your obesity, your sexual function, your bowel function. Everything is being affected because of the things you're putting in your mouth. So the poor diet can shrink the brain. We talked about that. 39% of the population worldwide are overweight. In the United States, 50 to 60%. So the rest of the world, only 39%. America, man, we win. 50 to 60%. Diet and physical activity are the main determinants of obesity. So I always say you can't outrun your fork. I have people that are workout fiends, and they say, well, doc, I'm going to go out for have a few beers and a couple of scotches. I'm going to have a cigar, and I'm going to have eggs and bacon in the morning, but then I'm going to go to the gym. No. There's not enough. You can't work out enough to override the damage you're doing chemically to the body. So don't think just because I work out, that's going to solve the problem. In fact, if I had to pick one between eating right and exercise, eating right is about 80% of your health. Exercise is about 20%. Now, you need that 20%. Don't get me wrong, but I really want you to consider changing that. We want to bring down your fasting blood glucose. So what that means is when you're not eating, where is your blood glucose? It's linked to lower total brain volume. Gray matter is the outer part of the brain, and that's associated with high-level brain functions such as problem solving, language, memory, personality, planning, and judgment. And if your blood sugar is high, over time, the brain will actually shrink. Obesity has been associated with changes in white matter, and that's the part of the brain related to cognitive functions, your thought process. So as we're overweight, it's not only unsightly, it's not only unhealthy, it's unhealthy to the brain as well. You can't be healthy and overweight. I remember I'm a guest on Eric Von Hessler's show, if you ever listen to that show on WSB, every morning drive, 9 to 12. And we were having a talk one day on the air, and he says, I understand body shaming. I understand you should be proud of who you are, but you can't be healthy if you're overweight. You can't be as healthy as you can be if you're overweight. And that's true. And I don't struggle. I used to be fat. I don't struggle every day with food anymore. I struggle with it every meal. I still have to look at what I'm eating and say, is this the absolute best choice that I can do right now? What would be a better choice? And when I go grocery shopping, I always have to think, what can I have in the house that's going to be quick and easy, because I work hard, but is also going to be good for me. And so when I shop, I like to make my own hummus, actually. It's very cheap to make hummus, and I like mine better. So I just make hummus. And hummus, I probably have hummus at least 1 or 2 meals a week. Quick, easy, extremely inexpensive. And instead of using bread or fried chips, I might use carrot or cucumber. Sometimes I just eat it with a spoon. If I don't have cucumber or carrots or whatever it is, I'll just eat it with a spoon. Now, it sounds a little unorthodox. Hummus without chips? Yes, it can be done. That's good. So that's one of the things. If you don't know what to eat, again, go to our website, drjoe.com. Type in the search bar, so what can I eat? And listen to a talk I did on that. It's very enlightening. Now, what you eat in the morning is going to have a direct impact on your brain function for the day. If you tend to start out with a bowl of cereal, donuts, pastries, you're setting yourself up for a bad day. Because research shows that consuming large amounts of sugar in the morning can leave you feeling hungry before lunch or dinner, and then chances are you're going to have more snacks. I always have, first thing in the morning, Super Green's an essential source. Always, 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 no matter where I am around the world, if I'm traveling, if I'm lecturing, if I'm visiting friends, Super Green's an essential source first thing in the morning. I add 5 drops of Dr. Joe's vitamin D to that in the winter especially. The vitamin D is so important for brain function, for the immune system, bone health. And then I'll usually have a couple of pieces of fruit. This morning I had 2 apples and 2 tangerines. Now, in about 3 or 4 hours, I start to get hungry. So in my office desk, and in my car as well, I have little bags of nuts, cashews, walnuts, pecans, pistachios, not peanuts. Don't use peanuts. They're not good for you. They're high in omega-6 fatty acids. They cause a lot of inflammation. So I'll just have maybe 2 or 3 handfuls of nuts. Now, the thing is, to stabilize my blood sugar, is that I will have 2 or 3 handfuls of nuts and I stop. Because it takes about 20 minutes to get the message from my stomach to my brain. And if I keep eating, I can eat a whole bag full of nuts, very high in fat, very high in calories, I'll put on weight. So I just want to have a little bit, hold me over, stabilize my blood sugar, then lunch comes around. At least 1 meal a day, I have a salad. Usually lunch, because it's easy for me. And then dinner varies depending on what I'm doing. But if you're eating a lot of sweet, sugary foods in the morning, what's going to happen is you're more likely to be food addicted. Now, I did a really good show on addiction. If you go to our website, drjoe.com, and just type the word addiction or food addiction, just put addiction in. I did a real good show on addiction and neurophysiology of what an addiction is, how the brain is where the problem is, and how you can't stop because the brain wants more. And sugary foods are going to kick off that addiction. You've heard me say many times, I can't eat a cookie. I can eat a box of cookies, but I can't eat a cookie. So that's one of the struggles that I have, and we all do, because sugar gives us pleasure, is I can't have a cookie. Just can't stop. And so what do? If you're an alcoholic, you don't have a drink because you can't stop. So what do? You abstain from alcohol. Same part of the brain that lights up on a functional MRI with alcohol, lights up with sugar, and lights up with cocaine and heroin. The addiction center of the brain. And so if that part of the brain is lighting up, you have to follow the rules of the Alcoholics Anonymous. Don't have any. And eventually your brain will reset itself. Now, it may take months. And then you can have a cookie and go, that was a good cookie. I'm done. But If you're in deep right now, chances are you can't do that. But we know that if you have bad breakfasts, beyond health, again, it's overweight, it's impaired glucose metabolism, it's lipoprotein disorders, systemic inflammation, oxidative stress, speeds up the aging process. We covered that a while ago. We talked about sugar, and when it gets into the body, it creates something called advanced glycated end products. The first letters of each one is advanced glycated end products, AGES. It ages you. I don't know if that was meant to be when they came up with that acronym or not, but it actually ages you. Ran into a medical doctor friend of mine who was on one of my shows last week, and real smart guy. And I hadn't seen him in, maybe 20 years or so. And I've referred to him. He's referred to me over the years. He's in the Atlanta area. And so he came down to the station with me, and I gave him a tour, had him on the air with me. And he says, "How old are you now?" And I told him. He says, "Damn, you look good. I would have never guessed you're that old." And I said, "Well, Nick, you and I are about the same age. We kind of, knew each other when we were younger." He says, "You haven't changed much." So cutting out the sugar is going to help the brain, but it's also going to slow down that aging process. Now, we also know that fast food, even 2 or 3 times a week, can lead to things like asthma, infections, eczema. I have so many patients come to me with eczema and psoriasis. "Dr. Joe, what do I do?" Whenever I see a skin condition, I always think liver. I find that when I treat the patient's liver, many times the skin conditions clear up. Because the liver is where waste products are being broken down and processed and passed out. And so if you have a skin condition, I want you to do this. I want everybody to do it anyway, even if you don't have a skin condition. Cut out your wheat and your dairy products. Cut them out for 2 weeks. No wheat, not a bite, not a nibble, nothing. No wheat, no dairy, 2 weeks. See what happens. I bet you're going to be amazed. Like my priest friend who sent me an email. "I give up the breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, and pastas. I feel great." Is it really that easy? Yeah, it is. Now, we like those things. I like those things. But I know I can't have them because it's not worth it to me. I want to live a long time. And there's no piece of bread, there's no cheesecake, there's no cannoli that is more important to me than living a long time and being healthy. And so that's how I make my decisions. Is this going to help me or is this going to hurt me? If it's going to hurt me, I won't do it. And that's tough to get to that point. I'm not going to lie to you. It's taken me a whole life to get there. I'm not expecting you to do it tomorrow. What I would like you to do is make little changes. Start noticing what's not good about your health. Maybe write it down even. Pretty simple. Gosh, I have asthma. I have runny nose. I have terrible gas. I can't sleep at night. I got headaches all the time. I can't perform sexually. I've got itchy skin. I've got eczema. Write them all down. And then think, what's worth it? What's worth having these things? Nothing. There's nothing worth having your list of symptoms. So cut out the wheat and the dairy for 2 weeks. Everybody do this, and let's see what happens. And if I'm right, great. If I'm not, I'm not. I've told you that 100 times. It doesn't matter if I'm right or not. I just want you to try it. And I am right, of course, or else I wouldn't tell you to do it. And see what changes. Get some nutrients into your body. Super Green's an essential source. They're 2 powders. They taste great. I like the mint Super Greens personally. There's plain and there's hemp. My favorite is the mint because it's a little sweeter. And take mint Super Greens and a scoop of each, essential source. Take it every day. Coconut milk, almond milk, shake it up, drink it. Do it for 2 weeks. No wheat, no dairy, Super Greens, an essential source. And I had vitamin D, especially in the winter. I had vitamin D, 5 drops. It's on the website, drjoe.com. Try it and see what happens. And I know that you'll be amazed. Because everyone that's ever done it says the same thing. "Dr. Joe, this is amazing." Now, every now and then I'll have a patient send me an email or a patient come into the offices or a listener send me an email and say, "Dr. Joe, I took Super Greens and essential source. On the 3rd day, I didn't feel good. I felt nauseous." What's happening is your body is not used to that level of nutrition. And the body is having trouble processing the good stuff. It's got to get used to processing the good stuff. So if that's the case, cut back on your doses, maybe half dosage, and do half and half throughout the day and watch what happens. But that's so rare. But if you do have a reaction like that, it's probably because your body is just cleaning itself out. And that's pretty awesome. That's exactly what it's supposed to do. And it goes away pretty quickly, only a couple of days with that. So consider that. If you have neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, headaches, numbness, tingling, any type of structural physical issue, I want you to make the commitment to come see us. Go to our website, drjoe.com, and just say, I'm going to do this for myself. The reason I say this is I've been in practice a long time, and patients come to me all the time, and they say, Dr. Joe, I've been meaning to come see you for, I had a lady come in 30 years. I heard you lecture years ago, 30 years ago, and I've been meaning to come see you. I kept your card from, I'm in the same office, so I kept your card for 30 years. I'm finally here. And I say, if you had gotten here 30 years ago, we wouldn't have nearly the problems we're having now. But let's go ahead and jump in and let's start. It's never too late to start. So go to our website, drjoe.com, make an appointment. We accept patients with all insurances. Now, it depends what your coverage is. We accept you. It depends if the insurance accepts us. But either way, you can't put a price on your health. Look at somebody like Steve Jobs. Was he 57 years old when he died? Brilliant. More money than anybody. It affected every one of our lives. The reason we're talking today, I'm sure Steve Jobs had something to do with it. And in his final years, he said, I have more money than most people could ever imagine. He says, and yet here I am dying. You can't buy health. But you can start planning for it now so that you have it later on. Talk about an investment. Talk about a return on investment. I don't care what the stock market does. As long as I'm healthy, man, I can come back. If I'm not healthy and something happens, I may not be able to come back. And so think about every reason why you want to get healthy and then make an appointment to come see us, drjoe.com. And we would love the opportunity to meet with you, discuss your specific condition, and if it's something we think we can help, we'll tell you. And if it's something that's out of our ballpark, we'll tell you that too. You got nothing to lose, folks, except getting well. Get rid of your sickness. That's a good thing to lose. So what type of diet is best? Everybody says that. What do I eat? We know that particular nutrients influence the function of the brain. They affect the immune system. They affect how your body works. They affect your colon. The best diet would be something that is mainly fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds, and cutting back on alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener. So if you don't know what to eat, again, go to our website, drjoe.com, type in, so what can I eat, and just follow those rules. And the cost for that is free, by the way. I would strongly advise that everyone takes Super Greens, an essential source as well. Now, if you're on blood thinners, go to our website, and there's a little explains how to take it if you're on blood thinners. But everybody would benefit, I feel, from Super Greens, an essential source. Scoop a day of each. If you want, do a half a scoop if you want to. Get it in your body. Start with getting nutrients in your body and be amazed how much better your body works. It's like putting high-test gas in your car and you've been putting water in, metaphorically speaking. And suddenly your car is this energy, this power. And then we can even go a little deeper. We can customize a nutrition plan for you specifically. I take Super Green Essential Source. I take adrenal support. At my age, everybody's adrenals are starting to poop out. So I take adrenal support. I take digestive enzymes if I'm eating a cooked meal. I take omega-3 fatty acids for brain function. I take nitric oxide for circulation. I take B-complex for the nervous system. So I've created a custom plan for myself, and if you become a patient, or we can, if you're not a patient, we can do it on the phone, customize a nutrition plan specifically for you. Why wouldn't you do that? Absolutely no reason why you wouldn't do that. So for breakfast, I would have fruit, Super Green, Essential Source. We're going to do some oatmeal, that's fine. Maybe some gluten-free cereals, that would be okay. Coconut milk, almond milk. Snacks, I usually have a couple of handfuls of nuts. Lunch, usually a salad of some sort or some type of big vegetable dish. And then dinner varies. It depends if I'm going out, if I'm going out on a date, if I'm going out with friends, if I'm going out with family members, if somebody's inviting me to their house. It depends what I eat. But it's always plant-based, always vegan. And I try to have something raw at every meal. Those are two very simple rules. Cut back on your animal products. Have something raw at every meal. You can do that, right? Of course you can. And then supplement-wise, of course, Super Green's an essential source. And in winter now, I'd say vitamin D. Vitamin D is the cheapest insurance policy you'll ever buy. If you're not taking vitamin D every day in the winter, you should get your blood levels checked, by the way. But generally speaking, most people do well with 3 to 5 drops of Dr. Joe's vitamin D every day. Your vitamin D also has to have vitamin K2 with it. Vitamin D does a lot of things. One of the things it does is helps you absorb calcium. Vitamin K2 drives it into the bones. If not, you can build up calcium in your muscles and in your blood vessels, and that's not good. So don't take D3 without K2. Folks, I'm almost out of time. If you have any questions, go to our website, drjoe.com. Come see us. We have offices in Marietta, Duluth, Stockbridge, and West Cobb. There's no reason why you're not making an appointment right now, unless you're driving. And if you are driving, go home and do it. and make that step. Take that step to start getting well and staying well. That's what we want to do. I want to be your coach. We also have a coaching class too, by the way. If you want information on that, send me a message that says coaching. I'll give you information on that. Again, drjoe.com. Okay. Everybody's brain not shrinking now? Any questions?
Yeah, so I have three.
Three?
Yes. Do you have any thoughts on nutritional yeast?
Yes. I love the flavor of it. I think it's an awesome product to take. The problem I have with it is very high in glutamic acid. That's what makes it savory. You come on through now. It makes it savory. If I take too much glutamic acid, I get a headache. But overall, for 99% of the population out there, absolutely positively, nutritional yeast is awesome. So, I'm done. Well, answering questions now. But not yet. I can't answer your question. I'm answering their questions. So give me 2 more questions, and then I'll answer your question. I can hear you, yes. Okay. I can't hear that, no. Give me 2 more. Give me 1 more minute. Okay, go ahead.
So I have one person who has type 2 diabetes and says that the medicine makes them sick.
Yes.
Do you have any advice on that situation?
Yes. Go to our website, drjoe.com, and type the word diabetes in the search bar and listen to the show we did on diabetes. Almost everyone with type 2 diabetes can be prevented with nutrition in most cases, managed in most cases, and reversed in many cases. So if you listen to the show we did on diabetes and do everything I say in there, hopefully we'll stabilize the blood sugar, and then you won't have to worry about taking the medication. There is a great supplement. It's not on our website. It's called Gymnema, Gymnema, Gymnema. And if you send me an email, I'll give you the link to the Gymnema that we like to recommend. It's through a company called Standard Process. And Gymnema is great for diabetics. It really helps stabilize that blood sugar. The goal for you is not to take the medication. The goal is to get you well so you don't need the medication. And so if you follow nutritional advice, in most cases, many cases I should say, you don't need the medication anymore. But don't give up the medication until we get you to that point. And if you want to come see us, we can also do a whole workup for you. So, next question.
I have another person who's at home with a bad cold or possibly flu, and they're wondering what supplements that you have would you recommend?
Right now, go to the website, drjoe.com, order Super Greens, Essential Source, Vitamin D, Seasonal Tonic, and Wellness Booster. Wellness Booster helps stimulate white blood cell production. It has a tiny bit of alcohol in it, so if you're an alcoholic, don't take it. But it's great for stimulating the immune system. And then Seasonal Tonic is when you are sick. It's ginger, horseradish, cayenne pepper, onion, and garlic pureed in apple cider vinegar. I would take it every hour. If I feel under the weather, I take it every hour. And many, many times it's essentially stopped the whole process, but certainly shortens the length of the process. So Super Greens, Essential Source, Vitamin D, Wellness Booster, and Seasonal Tonic. Wellness Booster twice a day, Seasonal Tonic every hour until you feel better, and then take Wellness Booster once a day from there on out. You'll be amazed. It's pretty cool. Any other questions?
No, that's all.
Okay, guys. Follow us on social media at Dr. Joe Esposito, whatever platform you're on. Just go to the other platforms, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and make sure you follow us. And we will see you next week.